Better luck next meteor. Greet. Try again. Try again.
It all happened like I knew it would. A single drop of source magic. And, like flies to honey, the monsters swarmed. The rebel panicked. The carnage began. And the magisters pointed their fingers at me. Just as I'd planned. I was shackled and collared and sent to Fort Joy. I'd come here to kill Godwoken. But instead I became part of their story.
Well, look what the doc dug up. You're lucky they didn't notice just how thin you were under those bandages. Although, seeing someone wrapped up like that, they probably thought you had the scabbing plague. Heh? Look, laugh, but don't touch. Better keep that hood down, mind you. The living don't take kindly to seeing their future staring back at them.
You're up. Yes. Looks like that collar fits you snugly enough. Nice bit of work, even if I do say so myself. There. Not too tight, I hope. The collar, I mean. Oh, not to worry. Every dog has to get used to its leash. In the meantime, your next stop will be Magister William. All passengers have to be registered in the ship's manifest, and he's the chap in charge of the logs. You'll find him on the other side of this deck, in the officers' quarters. Why? Because we're at sea, of course, and have been for several days.
Index fingers pressed to her lips, she pauses a moment to give you a scrutin.
My word, you do seem a bit befuddled, don't you? Perhaps I was a bit... Oh well, I'm sure you'll soon gather your wits. Most likely. Eventually. In the meantime, all you need to know is that we're en route. A new life awaits. And if you're... Why, for my peace of mind, of course. Why don't you try casting one of those source spells of yours?
Currents of magic surge inside you, boiling, bursting, then breaking, only to fade back.
You better stop before you hurt yourself. All will, but no result. There you have it, see? The collar's function. It... For your own peace of mind, of course. Your...
Good gods! There's been a murder here.
Did the murderer take him into this room? Or was he already here? No marks, no indications of a struggle. No lesions, no trauma. He was bled by magic. Did the murderer take him into this room? Or was he already...
That's enough now.
Ah, there you are. Husband, would you please tell this very charming gaggle of not at all brat-like babes that I am by no accounts this loser woman, nor do I sing, in fact. I'm deathly allergical. How very correct you are, spouse of mine. Madame Josephine Gribbles de Peeb refuses to be confused with anyone else. What? What's so funny?
Her pinched face cracks into a great grin, and she shoos the children away from her with a...
Yeah, okay, you found me out. Go on and git, and maybe I'll sing you something when I'm good and ready.
She turns to you, dark-eyed and dirty-haired, and smiles flatly.
Gotta keep ourselves entertained, haven't we? You presume right. Nope. Trying not to find out. Thanks, but I already belong to an elite and exclusive. You take care, though.
Suddenly, her eyes cloud to an unnatural black. Greyish veins run as quickly as they came. The clouds clear.
Good luck, Chief.
It was one of them. I know it. Put a knuckle in it. I'm trying to concentrate.
An elf sits tucked.
Snake eyes.
She chuckles.
I bet that's just what they'll look like.
She shakes her head.
Game for one. Rolling die, deciding fates. Don't worry, honey. It isn't you.
She looks you up and down with the merest...
Never say never, though.
She eyes you
Not the future, no. But I can read the past in flesh. Just like you. I could lick your arm and tell you how you spent the night before last. Shall I?
She looks at you in surprise when you bare an arm of...
My. Guess I'll have to find out.
She gives your arm a vigorous stroke of the tongue, efficient like a cat.
You were in a cellar with other sorcerers, watching, staring at them. You were thinking of flesh. Or, to be rather more precise, the pleasures of the flesh. Those that have eluded you for so long.
She pats you on the shoulder, console.
There, don't you worry, darling. You'll see. I don't lick and tell.
As soon as the Inquisitor gets here, we'll hang you right over the side of this ship with it.
It was one of them. I know it.
Would you put a knuckle in it? I'm trying.
A scruffy man lounges against the wall with scarred arms folded. A sly smile playing on his face, he stares across at the Magister guarding him. Noticing you, he straightens and beckons for you.
Watch your back, new fish. There's a murderer on board and I'd bet 3 months' pay.
Rolling his eyes at the Magister's warning, the man named Ifan beckons again. He leans in and adjusts your collar with a sharp tug, balancing its weight so it no longer presses unpleasantly on your neck. He winks.
Pinches less that way, right?
Hocking a phlegmy gobbet in your general direction, the sullen Magister settles back to his task of glowering at Ifan. And now, you.
We used to know each other, more's the pity. I was his commander many moons ago. Isn't that right, Vic?
Standing far back from Ifan, the tight-faced Magister draws one finger across his throat in an elaborate fashion, but says nothing. Ifan grins, flashing pointed white teeth.
Same as he was at 14 years old. Only difference is somebody gave him a bigger sword and now he's Johnny Big Pants.
How dare you classify this slop as food? I've seen more.
Long story. Maybe I'll tell you about it in the Joy. Away from interested parties. No. The dead man, Finn, is it? I'd no business with him. And I wouldn't...
He glances over at Magister Victor, who's staring back at him with pointed intensity.
Damn shame sheer annoyance isn't reason enough. The Joy, I've heard a lot. Nothing good. No surprise there, since Bishop Alexander runs the show. Wonder if we'll get to meet the Ringmaster himself. Easy now. I might think the same, but Vic here will blow a blood vessel if he hears you talking like that.
What are you conspiring about over there? You, elf, what's your name?
Oh, don't mind him. Vic's just got a bee in his bonnet.
Name?
Magister Victor looks at you suspiciously, then scrawls something illegible down in a tiny notebook. He scowls at you as he stows the notebook back in his voluminous robes.
Away with you, at once.
Ifan performs an elaborate pantomime of keeping quiet, one finger in front of his lips as he leans back against the wall.
I'll tell you if you can keep it quiet long enough for me to listen. Kid,
A broad dwarf sits totally upright on the bench, eyes closed, palms face up on his knees. His beard is a cascade of meticulous plaits, each one braided through with golden medallions. He raises an eyebrow as you approach, but doesn't open.
listen up, boy. You hear that?
He opens both eyes and turns his head toward you, looking you up and down. He smiles and closes his eyes once.
You look like a boy to me. Listen if you're interested, or get gone if you aren't. The ship, of course.
A wave of sound washes over you. The unintelligible chatter of your shipmates, the groaning of wood from floor to ceiling, the boom, crash and crackle of waves around you, complaints from the sea itself.
And?
There has been a murder, Your Majesty. Maybe that has the Magister's more concern than your appetite.
Don't you get saucy with me?
Sick as a leper's cat. From the state of it, I'd say she's being cared for by a bunch of beardless babes who never loved anyone but their own mums. But there's more. Listen close. There now, just like that. Aha!
His eyes snap open as his countenance breaks into an expression of joy. One great paw claps you on the back. The other catches you before you lose your footing.
There. You heard it, didn't you? I knew it. I knew it. Aye, this is good news, boy. Good news. It's the wheel. The wheel. Don't you see, you beautiful idiot? Squeaks whenever the helmsman jerks it clockwise, which means we're heading east. Burn my beard. That means if we've been travelling for... Yes, only 10.34 nautical miles. Ah, so you've eyes as well as ears, eh? You'll go far, mate. Even here. Captain, actually. And that figure tells me we're getting close to the joy. Close to what lies beyond it, too.
The dwarf leans back from the table and strokes his beard, gold medallions jingling merrily. His eyes roll over to you.
That'll be all. Thank you kindly, boy.
He continues stroking his beard, a beatific smile on his lips, and does...
Did you see the body? They ought to let you taste a bit. Maybe you'd find out who done it.
That right? I always knew you'd turn out rotten, Ben Nest.
No lesions. I've seen more appetizing things coming out of plague-stricken pigs. Well, well. What have we here? A fresh face in this stale hell. Let's size you up, shall we? See if you'll do.
The lizard looks you up and down, like a farmer would a fetching horse. All of a sudden, he grips you firmly by the chin, with the intent of inspecting your teeth.
There's some discoloration, as well as a rather disconcerting lack of tongue and gums, but I've seen worse. After all, one can't expect to find prime merchandise on a squalid little ship like this. Now then, to business. You will answer me 3 questions. The first one is this. Can you cook? Ah, music to my beleaguered stomach. On to the second question. Can you knit, weave? In short, tailor? Oh, but to feel the caress of satin on my scarlet skin once more. A most satisfactory. On then to my final query. Have you the ability to administer the upkeep of one's personal appearance? The delicate art of cosmetics is what I'm after. The very basics, then. I suppose that's a start. So, 3 questions asked, 3 questions answered. As per your own testimony, you can cook, tailor, and groom. Well, that just about settles it. I offer you my sincerest congratulations. As of now, you are my slave. Of course you accept. Mine wasn't an offer, it was an order. Anyway, you may leave me for a moment. We'll go over your duties once we reach Fort Joy. Now shoo!
Ben Nest. Your kind always hung closest to our divine, like wolves around a campfire.
The elf is reading a volume of Cranley Hubert's famous encyclopedia. He looks up, his big round eyes scanning your body, absorbing every detail. He reaches out and examines your bandages, rubbing them between his fingers.
Fascinating.
He sits back and returns to his book, flicking quickly from page to page, completely oblivious to your presence.
I am reading. Is this not evident? My book is in my hands, my face turned away from you. Perhaps my eyes not on the page. Damned.
He grabs a metal plate and watches his reflection with one eye as the other shifts left to right and up to down. He repeats the maneuver with the opposite eye.
No, they are working quite adequately. It seems you are at fault. Predictable, really. Ah, yes. The nice. My name is Fane. I am a scholar from... Well, I am a seeker of knowledge. That is enough. It is pleasurable to meet you. Is there? Wherever do you keep it? Certainly not in your books. I have been reading this one for several minutes, and I have yet to find a single insight into the mysteries of the universe. It is simultaneously too detailed and insufficient. I know the beginning of this tale. Tell me, what do you know of our world's history? Oh, please. I have no interest in... No. I want to know about the Celestial. This text tells me that they created all creatures, but nothing of what came before. Where did these gods come from? Who are their people? Where are the others of their kind?
The elf's face freezes for just a second before he waves his hand dismissively.
Oh, it's just one of my idle curiosities. We mortals do like to consider these things, do we not? Now please, run along. I have a world to decipher.
No amount of pestering will get the...
Insufferable, surely.
What are you trying to hear anyway?
I'll tell you if you can keep it quiet long enough for me to listen.
I spent my life singing for my slaves to bring me my supper. Finer fare than boiled roots and rotten tubers, too. Meanwhile, the Magisters feast on honeyed meat behind this very wall. The indignant...
Well, you've got this wolf on a leash now.
It's a register, sir. Good, good. Magister Williams is just about done with the last passenger. You faring okay so far? Course I do. Seems Voidwalk can dog your heels like a shadow. That's no way to live, is it? You'll see. We're gonna help you. You head on in now. Williams will get you sorted fast.
One of us will keep those bolts trained on us, and if she tries to shoot to kill.
You seem on edge of...
Standing at the center of the room, you spot a sorcerer haughtily eyeing a pair of nervous-looking magisters. They keep their crossbow trained upon her as she's being interrogated by an officer.
So you admit it then? You murdered that poor fella?
Yes, I did. But of course, that was only the beginning.
She turns her head and looks you straight in the eye.
There are others whose lives must end.
Good God, the woman's mad. You there, sorcerer, go and fetch Magister Siwan. We need to do more than collar this maniac. We need to shackle her, hands and feet.
No, I'm afraid I always perform my part solo. Do stay and watch, though, because...
She reaches for her collar and simply removes it.
I'm just about to create a scene.
Subdue her, men, quickly! If she casts source, the Voidwoken will come. They'll end us all.
She smiles with wicked satisfaction.
Precisely.
What? What happened?
As the dead man's flesh slides down your throat, you feel his consciousness enter yours. His memories are yours to experience. You are Finn. Your heart is heavy. You know too much. It's all too much. You met him. A bright light blinds you, then fades. You feel a tremendous power in your hands, but they are shaking so hard you can barely use them. Suddenly you're on this very ship, crouched in a corner, hugging your knees. A figure approaches, an older woman. Her eyes are kind. She comes closer. She says she wants to talk. She reaches a hand toward you. You grasp it. The memories end. You are no longer Finn. You return to yourself with a jolt.
Playing dead, are you? Probably a good idea.
The young woman lies in a heap on the floor. She's breathing normally, but her eyes are wide open, like those of a corpse. Dark, greyish-black clouds swirl through them.
No, not the final dark. Not yet.
It's no use. Your words do not seem to reach her.
The dice roll darkly. The
Ifan lies motionless, curled on the ground like an animal. Under his shaggy hair, you can see green eyes fluttering as if in a nightmare. A low whine escapes his lips. His eyes flicker open, but he doesn't
Lucien. Lucien.
Ifan cries out, then his eyes fall closed again. No matter how much you shake him now, he cannot be roused. The dwarf lies in a heap on the floor, his great beard twisted and tangled around him. He is stock still. You can't see if he's living or dead. You hear a faint thud, thud, thud. He's alive, but only just.
Oh! What? What happened? Must have been the turnips. Water? Wine, for goodness sake! Oh!
The lizard's eyes close as he slips into unconsciousness.
hatch is blocked. I need to find another way. Damn, that doesn't bode well. Onwards and upwards. Thank the gods!
He eyes the collar circling your neck and reaches a hand towards his blade.
Another sorcerer!
The Magister's companion doesn't blink, frozen in place at the sight of you.
Like you don't know? Mutiny! Did that witch fix your collar too?
He whispers loudly to the other Magister.
Don't just cower there, Rix! Take out your blade!
Rix grabs his sword, which shakes in the rhythm of his trembling hand. Rix looks to his companion, who then looks to you. They drop their hand.
Go on then! Find a place to hide and stay there.
God damn it! We need to get off this wreck, and quick!
You pass through the door and are suddenly face to face with an undead. His skull is bizarrely angular, and a glorious jewel sits in the middle of his forehead. The skeleton is quickly leafing through a volume of Cranley Hubert's famous encyclopedia, muttering to himself.
No, no, no! What damn fools record knowledge on a pulped tree? It catches fire, it turns into must when wet, it cannot even resist acid! No wonder they're so bloody ignorant.
The skeleton looks up and notices you for the first time.
Oh, it's you. Shouldn't you be running and screaming or some such?
The skeleton groans and looks back to his book, frantically flipping from page to page.
Yes, indeed. It's the look of someone that wants to read the bloody book he's holding. Now, if you're really quite finished, I believe you have lifeboats to flee to. Please, I was no more an elf than I had a mask, rather ingeniously designed, which allowed me to take that primitive form. A mask that was stolen by that damned witch after her little scene. Still, she'll drown with the rest of these fools, and I will simply pluck my mask from her cold, dead hands. Indeed, just as sensible as getting off a sinking ship and leaving a fellow to his business. I would say good day, but it seems quite likely that you're about to die a rather terrible death, so...
The skeleton shrugs casually and returns to his book.
Great God, something's pounding on the hull!
The marking on the door was painted recently, judging from its pungent scent. You recognize the symbol immediately for what it is. Oh, you press your palm against the door to open it. Your fingers clack against the wood, and you suddenly feel grey. The touch leaves you numb, dull. It doesn't budge. The door groans open, but an ashen shadow clouds your mind.
Death fog? Good thing I'm immune. Still, this means trouble.
That means there's still a chance!
Shut your trap, kid. Children and dwarfs first, just like the old stories say.
The dwarf yanks at one of the nearby ropes.
You said there were other people down there. We need to help them.
You see those tentacles, kid? It's time for getting the hell out of here.
Thank you, thank you, thank you! There's a ladder right over there. You can go straight down.
You're gonna be the death of us, you hear?
Woken was supposed to be scary.
I've faced worse.
They who are about to triumph.
Let the games begin.
These beardless bugs won't sink the ship on my watch.
first.
Let's head above next for some help.
I have plans for you, child. Rise.
Honorable Dallas, we lost a ship sailing sorcerer prisoners to Fort Joy. We assume some escaped and broke their collars. Their vile magic lured the Voidwoken. All who were aboard are presumed dead. Yours faithfully into eternity, High Judge Oriven.